right, it is 1:01 and I want to be mindful of everyone's time. So we will kick things off. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome everyone to our March Food Security Community Call. I cannot believe that it is March already, but here we are. This is a special call for us today, and that it is also our spring produce vendor showcase. We hope that the showcase that we hosted in November for those farmers and aggregators and sources of box produce that were offering something on a year-round basis joined us at that time. Today, we are joined by 8 other farmers and aggregators doing work on a more traditional growing schedule, and we are thrilled to have them join us all today. Many of these are longstanding Food Council partners, so we appreciate the connections that we have with them and ways to bring these communities together with our food security work. So just a few quick announcements from the Food Council before we get started. I did want to share for those food assistance providers that are participating in our peer learning circles. Just wanted to thank you all. We had a great first round of meetings with all 3 of our regional spaces. Got to hear and talk about lots of different topics, and we will be following up shortly with notes and resources that were identified during those calls, really to benefit everyone. So again, appreciate your participation there. We will keep you posted. We are still planning our April training on the more technical aspects of data collection, but more of that to come in the near future. And to those of you, just 2 other items that we had been reaching out to you about was updating your information in our food assistance resource directory. I believe that we have about, as of today, we have about 43% of those of you that are community food assistance grantees who have either confirmed that your information was correct or let us know about updates, and we've made those updates. So for those of you that still need to get back to us and let us know, please do that. Bita is going to share the form link in the chat. So if you haven't already, let us know that your information is up to date or needs updating. Please do that as soon as you can. For those of you that have never entered your information before in the county's distribution calendar, we will have instructions for that process to roll out to you soon. And many of you may also be covered in other areas. Maybe your work doesn't exactly fit into the county calendar. Maybe you do deliveries or you're a meal site. There are other places on OFSR's food distribution page that you are covered. So we will let you know if that's the case or if you need to submit information to the calendar. So again, more of that to come. And lastly, for this space, we will be meeting again in May for our next food security community call. That will be on May 12th, and we'll share the registration link in the chat as well. And our tentative topic for that is going to be public safety at food distributions. And I think that by that time, we may have some more information to kind of be thinking about and things that we're seeing in the community that we can talk about and concerns to share. So I think that will be a timely topic when we get there. For our agenda today, we will have some updates from OFSR. I think Catherine is going to be joining us later in the call, so we will switch to that after the presentations from our farmers. That all being said, again, thank you for joining us today. Focus of the call is our spring seasonal box produce vendor showcase, and we are going to kick things off with Sandy Spring Gardens. Tom, take us away. Tom, you are muted.
There we go. Thank you. Box vendor showcase, I'll need a little bit of prompting in terms of what aspects you want to share. We have a CSA program. We prepare boxes for our customers on a weekly basis from the first weekend in May through the first weekend in November. Those are distributed here on the farm on Friday afternoons and also at the Olney Farmers Market. And we also do a small distribution at a retirement community here. So I've never, in the first 2 years that Community FarmShare was in operation, we prepared CSA boxes for Community FarmShare, which was good. Community FarmShare has moved to a new model where they assemble bags or boxes for their clients, and I think they're even transitioning to a market system now. So it'll be interesting to see how things evolve, but we want to be in close communication with the food assistance providers and provide the vegetable delivery mode and service and format that they most want. I see so many the folks that we have partnered with at Hughes, at Guru Gobi Singh Foundation. Aman, how are you today? It's great to see my friends Chris from Nourishing Bethesda and Jennifer, of course, Community FarmShare. So wanting to listen and learn and see what the food assistant providers really would hope to see in terms of the evolving program. Obviously, Farm to Food Bank is continuing. The Community FarmShare program is continuing and evolving and growing. So we want to be plugged into all of that.
Thanks, Tom. I think, Tom, what we were looking for today too is if there's any, how can providers reach out to you? What type of need, can you provide? You mentioned the, bagged for CSAs that you've been doing. I guess just a general sense for providers, like, can you also, kind of what is your usual method of sales? To food assistance providers. I think when we started these calls, a number of food assistance providers had been capital area food bank partners. And so they had been, they had normally received these boxes of mixed produce. That program was going away. And so we were looking to fulfill an immediate need. But I think, we're kind of expanding to think about just in general, how can food assistance providers connect with you to purchase produce, whether it's in a bagged CSA like share, or if there's a specific item that they wanted to connect with you on, if you had any type of specialty crops that you wanted to make folks aware of, just so they would have a sense of what's available in the community.
Well, that's very helpful. And we, again, what I can do is share with the group some of the models that we've had in place in recent years. For example, I make wholesale deliveries to Nourishing Bethesda, to Mid-County United Ministries, to Community FarmShare, to Acre Thrive. We had a contract with Acre Thrive under the Farm to Food Bank program. And I do those deliveries personally. I load the truck and the team, does the harvest and the wash pack, and we put it in the cooler and chill it down, and then it goes on the truck, and I'll do the delivery because I want to see where the food is going. I want to connect with not only the food assistance provider, but also some of the clients there. We believe that the quality, not only in terms of flavor, but also in terms of nutritional density of what we small growers can produce in Montgomery County is far superior to what can be procured from the national commodity produce, system through the big food truck, distributors. And you can taste the difference. So I think that's a marker that something special is happening here. And when we think about food as medicine and really the opportunity to improve the health of especially our food insecure population in the county, I deeply believe that local food, locally grown food, offers something very special to address some of these chronic health concerns that population and their service providers feel. So I think a lot of my wholesale distribution that has not been specifically directed to one of those has gone through Community FarmShare, which is doing some aggregation in recent years and plans to extend that further, so that food assistant providers have contacted Community FarmShare and arranged for a purchase of a product, and then I get an email or some kind of text that says, "Hey, can you deliver 500 pounds of kale?" Kale happens to be one of our specialties, and the particular varieties that we grow, which is White Russian, is extremely desirable among some of the ethnic population in Montgomery County, and some of the families that are seeking to access food assistance are very interested in that. In fact, in the case of Acre Thrive, they had large deliveries of curly kale coming from a fairly large regional producer in Virginia. When our kale showed up, the clients weren't really interested in that kale anymore. They wanted this kale, and they made it very clear that they wanted this kale coming from Sandy Spring Garden. So I don't know what exactly the difference is, but I know that freshness is a factor, the variety selection is a factor, and the growing methods that are less focused on maximizing yield. We're certainly not achieving much in the way of profit, but focus more on the quality of the end result, because the quality goal was to reach the customer at the farmer's market, and the farmer's market customer is looking for something that goes beyond the quality that's available in the grocery store. So I think there are ways to do this. My website, down through the years, but I think we're going to enhance that this year, will be a place where customers can go and make orders. And those could be wholesale orders. We do a special pricing that wouldn't be the website pricing, but at least I would get a signal over the website that an order, there's a food assistance provider interested in some product, because we would have an inventory at all times on the website that shows what's available at Sandy Spring Gardens. I hope that's helpful.
Yeah, Tom, that's really helpful. Thank you. And telling the food assistance providers that you offer wholesale is definitely, I think something that they're interested in. And so there's a question in the chat wondering about any culturally specific foods that you grow at your farm. I know you mentioned some kale, but if you want to give a broader overview.
You know what would AfriThrive, when AfriThrive was working with us on developing the contract last year under the Farm to Food Bank program, it was this contract growing program was a special feature or structure that was created last year and the year before. When that conversation opens up between a specific food assistance provider and a specific grower, we can, especially this time of year, we can do a lot to adjust or adapt or even shift some of our product selection in the direction that a food assistant provider is interested in. And really, the food assistant providers know better than we do what is wanted out there. And I would really appreciate signals from those folks as to what their clients are wanting, not able to find, because we want to grow it. It's that simple. You see, the farmers market that I have out here, only farmers market, is not nearly as diverse as some of the other farmers markets or food assistance clientele. And so I don't get pressure at my retail market for the broad range of ethnically, culturally appropriate foods. So it really would be, we can grow it. We'd love to know specifically what people are interested in having in wholesale quantities, and we would grow it. The kale, I sort of fell into an arrangement where we got 40 trays, 72 plants per tray of white Russian kale in August last year. And it was an accident on some level. I didn't order it, but I got called up by the guy who had grown it. And he said, "Oh, what am I going to do with it?" So I got it for half price. We planted that, and it all went to people from the African diaspora who were very, very attracted to that particular product. So I want to do that kind of thing again. That really is what we're all about, is trying to serve the underserved population in Montgomery County.
Thanks so much, Tom. I think like we did last time, we're probably going to hold on questions until the end, once everyone's had a chance to share, because we know there may be some general questions for the group. So Tom, thanks so much. I hope you can stay on a little while longer.
Oh, I want to listen to all the people have to say.
Wonderful, wonderful. We're going to turn things over to Bridget at Chicken of the Woods. Unless she's not here, then we're gonna move somewhere else. Okay, I don't see her. So let's go ahead with Indu at Amaranth Acres.
Hello, everyone.
Welcome.
Yeah, let me try to turn on my camera. All right, so what we specifically grow is vegetables that are from the Southeast Asian region, primarily Asian vegetables. So there are several, I used to do a CSA, or we used to do a CSA till about a couple of years ago, and we stopped it last year, primarily because of lack of labor, and doing it retail seemed to work. So that was taken over by retail sales. We also sell to Community FarmShare, Farm to Food Bank, and Meals on Wheels, which was new last year. But most of these organizations, like, I'm not particularly sure which group of population is interested in these culturally or appropriate foods. Like we have several. I mean, they all are. Most of them are similar to Caribbean, African, and parts of South American populations. But I'm not really sure. Like I was talking to Bitta and I was telling her, hey, I'm not really sure which is the population that's actually looking for and whom we should target. Particularly in the Latino and the Hispanic foods are commonly accepted, and we know that, and we grow some of that, and some of them we don't even realize it's sought after. Till Jennifer from Community FarmShare says, this is good. They all like it, things like that. So we can grow them. I mean, some of these vegetables are like, they call snake gourds, bitter gourds, and things like that. Some people call them squash, and each language, it's called differently, or each region calls them differently. But Southeast Asian communities predominantly the ones that are my target group, because I grow them from people that I know, and that's how I got into farming, to grow stuff that tastes good. And like Tom said, I mean, once you taste that, you don't want to eat stuff from where they're coming, what's coming from the stores. So that's my primary target group. So what I would, the help that I would need is, we are growing the stuff, we have plenty of them. I mean, enough that we can make boxes or whatever, but we need to know what appropriately, like which group requires which kind of vegetables. That's our primary request. I mean, the stuff being grown, but how do we target them to the right group is where we need the help.
Yeah, and
So,
Indu, I can share some of the photos that you sent to me, or screen share really
right, I sent them to her to tell, like, it's easy to look and see if this is something that's familiar, rather than giving the names. And I mean, everybody knows bell peppers, but this is bitter gourd. I mean, it's amazing how many people actually like this. This has become like, it's like food is medicine. So people actually look to eat this because it reduces blood sugar. So people who have diabetes come looking for this. This is black-eyed peas. So that's something that's become really popular, which I didn't realize. I thought it was a actually from the people from the south of the US are the ones who are fond of this. This is called purple hull peas. Actually, it's not black-eyed. It has a purple in the place where the black usually is. So this seems to be very popular. This is shallots. This is also, like, lots of Asians, instead of the big onions, they like these small shallots in their cooking. So I grow, and these are just all kinds of beans. I mean, fresh beans are also very popular. These are, I forget the name of this, but this is some bush bean where you eat. It's a shelling bean that people seem to like. So primarily for vegetarians, right? These beans seem to be, like, lots of Indians, like the South Asian communities, predominantly vegetarian. Or a lot of people are want to be vegans or vegetarians. So this seems to be something that people are fond of. So we try to grow these. Okra, obviously, lots of populations like okra. Pumpkin, squash. I never know which is pumpkin and which is squash, but as a group, that's also something that people like and want. And tomatoes, obviously, everybody loves tomatoes. And yeah, this is, you see, these are like from the right side facing the picture. The right side is something called the hyacinth beans. I mean, people grow them as, I think, for just for the flowers, because they attract lots of even hummingbirds and bees and stuff. But the beans are, like, you can eat them. They're purple in color. Purple hyacinth beans are, I think, but the green ones, there's flat, there's round, and that's the long beans right next to that. And then that's the ridge gourd or loofah. That's another sought after South Asian vegetables. And behind that, that's a smooth texture, that's the bottle gourd. Which a lot of people like too. And then that's the snake gourd, which is also probably people from Africa and Asia, parts of Asia eat it too. And then there's the spicy chilies. So these are the vegetables that we grow, but we need to find the people like Vietnamese, Filipino populations, I think even Chinese. So anybody from that diaspora actually eat some of these vegetables. So, but I don't know about South American. Maybe they eat some of these, but I don't know how they're called or. So that's the thing. But I'm looking for particularly direction on how they can be targeted to the specific groups that are looking for, so that we can either grow more of these things or grow a variety of other vegetables that people would like to have. So
Thank you, Indu. And I
You're
see
welcome.
Lisa Bittner is adding some suggestions in the chat. And we can certainly, there's definitely space in the chat for anyone else who would like to add some. We can certainly follow up on requests from providers and get that information back to you all. So I think that is a great conversation that we can start here today. So thank you.
Right.
Thank you for that. And just a reminder, on the last vendor call, Beta had put together a database of all of the vendors that we had been hearing back from and their contact information and any kind of information they shared with us about pricing or specialty crops. And she will be updating that sheet with the information that we're getting here today, and we will share that link out again, so you have that all in front of you as you're thinking about your purchasing needs throughout the year. So just to keep that resource in mind. Okay, keep moving. I'm going to move on. I did see that she's on the call. I haven't seen her in forever. Tope from Dodo Farms.
Hi,
Hi, Tope.
it's good to be here and to see everyone. And maybe I'm the only one who didn't get the memo, but this was my understanding, and I feel bad that I have some slides. I really feel bad, but please
Slides
bear
are
with me.
wonderful. No worries.
Okay, so just quickly, I wanted to talk about some of the things that we and maybe other farmers are expecting the outlook to look like in 2025. Increased production costs. If you've bought anything, fertilizer, manure, seeds, whatever, prices have gone up. USDA funding freezes, not like we were getting a lot of money before, but whatever we were getting before is now getting increasingly squeezed. So that's going to put a lot of pressure on small farmers, especially. The USAID, closure or whatever the administration is doing, the effect that will have on us is that some of these big suppliers in Ohio, in Colorado, who were supplying USAID with all of these things that were being exported, now that export market is closed up, I expect that they're going to put further pressure on us small farmers here, because they need to sell their stuff somewhere. And so that might depress some of the prices that we may be able to control. And of course, the quality of the food, like Tom was talking about, is not the best, but people who are living paycheck to paycheck and not really having a lot of funds may have challenges affording what we are growing now with increased production cost. Then another thing that I'm expecting will be a challenge will be the food insecure population. For those of us who did these contracts with Farm to Food Bank last year and went to churches and all these places to supply food, I expect that some of those people that we're giving food to will be hiding if they have not been deported, because many were undocumented. So that would also affect the demand side of things. So it looks like it's a season where we have to kind of brace up. Hopefully we don't have the kind of drought and weather issues that we had last year to further complicate things. But with that in mind, we are planning to do some things differently. Dodo Farms has moved, as you know. I hate to say that we've moved to Howard County. I like to say that we're 3 miles from Montgomery County border. So, and we're in Mount Airy, and Mount Airy is also, is a 4-county city. We are just 3 miles from the border, and we intend to remain fully engaged in the county. But what we want to do is to do, now that we have our own space, is to do something that has always been on our mind, top of mind for a while. that it's not just food, it's also about the education. It's I'm calling it Food Box Plus. So if we have partners here who want to, yes, supply, take things, we want to supply them things, but if you want to bring some of the people who eat our food to the farm once a quarter, once a month, I'll be happy for us to, engage that, because people, there's a proverb in my language that it's the eyes that knows what feeds the stomach. And if people come to the farm and see where this food is coming from, this is a luxury that a lot of these people don't have. I think that would also help, the case. So we're trying to do something called Beyond, like CSA Plus, Beyond Food Boxes, to get more people on the farm. We just got an email from a big retail giant that has not given us any money, that does not buy anything from us, but they said they want their workers to come volunteer on the farm. If they who don't do anything for us want to come to the farm, how about people who do something for our business? So that's something for us to bear in mind. In terms of the items that will be available in the spring, let me put a caveat. You guys know, these items they're like babies. I just had a baby, as many of you know. They're like babies, they have their own agenda. They can decide to grow and they can decide not to grow. But big on the list is kale, collards, cabbage, mustard, noble jade, and radishes. This is what we're thinking in terms of wholesale and items that will be available in bulk. If there are other things that your customers want, let's have a conversation, because now we're in the beginning of planting. Pricing, and I hesitated to put a pricing on this because this is, like I said, this season is going to be very interesting. But I figured that we can do something for $20 a week. You still have to contact us. And that's my presentation.
Tope, thank you so much. And thank you for really sharing that overview perspective, of some of the things that are happening within the community that can affect this space. And I will say, as far as I'm concerned, I don't care that you're in Howard County, we're still counting you as ours. And so, and a great food council partner over time. So, just happy to have you in this space. I will say your point about changes in those seeking food assistance, yes, we may see demographic shifts. We may see, high numbers of former federal employees coming to the space. And we know that Montgomery County for a long time has been incredibly diverse. And so there may be some shifts in terms of preferences, but also, maybe not. So, we'll have to see, how that plays out. But I do appreciate you raising that issue and sharing with us today. So thanks so much.
Thank you, Tope. And I think Bridget has joined us. So yeah.
Hi there. Hi, everyone. I'm at my part-time job as a mobile science lab teacher, so I apologize the elementary school background going on. Vida, did you have a chance to receive my, why don't we start with that? And apologize for any background noise. I'll try to mute myself when I'm not talking. But once we get our presentation up, we should be good to go. But my name is Bridget Downer with Chicken of the Woods Permaculture Farm. We're located in Darnestown, Maryland. And I co-own with my husband. We are a family farm on about 5 acres, and we grow organic produce as well as raised pastured organic chickens. I wanted to start out just by giving an overview of how we grow, our philosophy. Pretty much we are synthetic free. So, there's all kinds of certifications. I don't even know, we're probably expiring on a lot of our certifications, because what we really push is know your farmer. So, people can do all kinds of things within certifications that I wouldn't consider environmentally friendly. So I ask people if they're interested in where their food comes from and interested in getting the most nutrient dense food possible, then go ahead and know your farmer, know what's in their soil and what they're putting on their soil and what kind of seeds are they planting. So our big overall overreaching goals for our farm is food, seed, and energy sovereignty. And that's what I think brings us closest to what you would consider a regenerative certification. It's completely cost prohibitive to actually get that certification, but that's how we function. That's our mode, Yeah, MO. All right, next slide. So, here's an example of our high tunnel getting ready to burst into spring, right? And yeah, next one. Here's an overview of one of our plots. As you can see, we use different kinds of crops throughout. We intercrop. And then in the next slide, you can see another example of corn. We have beans. We also stick with a lot of indigenous varieties because we know those do best because they grow here. And there's this line that not a lot of people talk about, and it's one of my main reasons for wanting to present today. We have the vegetables that you would potentially see in the store on the shelves, right, or in the bins. Then you also have the produce that is going to be nutrient dense. It's going to be indigenous in its sourcing, and it's basically going to be the sustenance, what people have used to get through the winter. So in the Three Sisters example, you have corn, beans, and squash. It is not sweet corn. And I'll talk about this more later. It's actually masa or flour corn. You've got, instead of green beans, you've got dried beans. And then you've also got your winter squash, not your summer squash. So this is a lot of what our focus is: sustenance, long-term food security, and of course, yeah, what can we provide to local people that they're going to recognize, right? And be able to do something with. So in the next slide, you'll probably start seeing the farmer on board. Austin, he's my son. That was early on in the days, but winter squash is something we offer. Most of our offerings, 100% of our offerings have been farm to food bank for like the last 4 years. So I'm throwing it out there. We always want to kind of default, but sometimes they have, on a rare occasion, they'll say, oh, no, we can't find a provider. And in that sense, I would be looking to you guys to say, hey, I say, oh, I have this excess. And you guys say, hey, we found a place to bring this to. And so we can make connections there. So winter squash is one of the big ones, all kinds. And we got winter melon, right? Also many names, wax gourd, it confuses me. I'm just gonna stick with winter melon because that's what Anna Rose at Farm to Food Bank does. It's for the price sheet. So we have incredible poundage of this winter melon. Go ahead. It's Indian in nature. Watermelon, as you saw, Farmer Oshin, this is his focus. And we focus on, like, all heirloom, open pollinated. We even though maybe production might not be high, we save our seed. So this is moon and stars. And as you can see, it kind of looks like it. And if you happen to get a rectangular watermelon in your produce bag, it's because he experiments with growing them in cinder blocks and just gets a kick out of how the fruit will shape to whatever you put them in. All right, so this is my real reason for presenting today. We spent 6 weeks in Guatemala working with the Mayan farmers, learning all about how they do agriculture. And here's an example of what they call a milpa, M-I-L-P-A. And you can see the corn being planted, all hand planting, no machinery. It's not really, or at least in the area I was with the Mayans, it wasn't in their budget to have machinery. So this is the start of basically a corn crop, and you can see others. Went to several sites on the next slide. Yeah, so once again, here's a really good example of how they'll do the Three Sisters. And because it's tropical, they have that luxury of growing year round. So you have different stages. You have a mature squash on the left. You have the beans growing up, basically harvested wood off the property, and then the corn. And then the next one, yeah, this was pretty incredible. This is like, and this is what I'm trying to educate food service providers about. Like, so people in our area, they're probably going to have some kind of equivalent of grinding, whether it's a blender or whatever. They're going to be able to make their own masa, which obviously is if you don't know, it's the building block for all the different kinds of food, the pupusas, the tortillas. It goes on and on with what they can make with it. So you have the dried corn on the left, soaked corn in her hand in the yellow bowl, grinding in the middle, and then you've got the masa finished product in the bucket. And that's a great example. All right, and this is on our own property. This is here. So we pretty much follow some of the traditional 1,000-year-old practices of mounding, which allows more heat to the corn seed early, so we get an earlier sprout. And there you see a finished corn crop. And the next one, just some of the absolute beauty. This is, like I said, thousands of years of breeding, not just flavor, but resistance to pests. And I really do think these farmers had fun with this and just said, how cool can I make this corn look? And it's so kid friendly. We have a lot of the old Amish machinery that allows you to shell it, and work parties allows you to dehusk it. So it's a very small farmer friendly crop. And if you see the next slide, this is basically masa on the left, soaking it with some kind of alkali solution to not only does it sterilize it, but it also brings more bioavailability to the finished product. And you can use ash. And on the right is actually a really cool fungus that grows in place of the cob. And it's actually a delicacy among the Mayans. So, like I said, some people here have not been away from their culture that long that they might, oh, thank you. How to pronounce that? No clue, Lisa, but thank you for posting that. And then the next, thank you. And the next slide. Basically, yeah, oh yeah, so that's pretty much our masa presentation. And then of course okra is something we were really excited about, finding the 3 equivalents to the 3 sisters using okra, cowpeas, and basically regular winter squash. But that is basically the African origins that we can embrace, and they do great together. So it's beauty and it's companions. There you see the okra, you see the little cowpeas all growing through it. Yeah, that's the equivalent of the dry beans. Moving on, more pretty okras. It's one of our biggest cash crops. And then I wanted to thank you guys. This is just an overview of our farm, but we're doing this in the middle of a very, very carbon intensive suburban area on Darnestown. And to be able to keep doing this and to drop our footprint so drastically while providing people in need with the most nutrient dense food I feel exists in the DC metro area, it's an honor. It's an honor and privilege. So thank you very much. Appreciate time.
Thank you, Bridget. And again, I'm sure Bita is going to be getting information about how folks can get in touch with you and pricing and stuff. So thanks so much. Moving on, 1 Acre Farms with Sophia. And I believe I see Mike is joining her. So I think we get a twofer presentation.
Yes. Hello, everybody. I have a slideshow. I can share my own screen, or unless it's easier for Bita to do that. There it is. Great. So we are 1 Acre Farm in Dickerson, Maryland, close to Poolsville. We are a small scale vegetable farm. We grow for a up to 200 member CSA. The numbers fluctuate per year, and then we have a number of other outlets we sell our produce to. Go to the next slide. So our proposal for this call is and we do this through a number of other avenues, but we can do pre-made bags at about a $30 value. There'll be a weekly item of about 4 to 5 things per bag. And that of course will depend seasonally on what we're growing, but we do have a wide range of produce. I think we could do up to about 50 bags per week to a food assistance provider, and we do other deliveries within the Rockville-Gaithersburg area already, so that would be an easy addition. We have the van, and it wouldn't be an extra cost. It's just part of the bag. You can go to the next page. This is sort of that's kind of small, but what we grow seasonally. We grow from mid-May through November, and in terms of culturally relevant and appropriate foods, we definitely do okra and tomatoes and hot peppers, and have heard feedback throughout the years and tried to increase certain things, or if there's a preference for just a classic green squash, we'll definitely lean towards that in terms of what we send. We're open to hearing that from folks as well, and in specifics what organization we work with. And then the last slide, or second to last slide, is how we grow. We grow organically. We're not certified, but we don't use any synthetic pesticides or fertilizers, and we focus a lot on soil health and ecosystem health of our little area here. And then our last page is contact methods. So you can email me directly at my email or our support, which we would both see, and we'd get back to you quickly. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. Okay, sorry, just gonna move my shift around. Nathan, from Dreaming Out Loud. Hi.
Hey everyone. Yeah, Dreaming Out Loud, we actually are an aggregator as a food hub, and then we also have two small urban farms inside of DC. It's about 3 acres in total with the two. Um, and we do both wholesale with institutional partners of ours, and we also have a CSA and home delivery service that's more retail focused. But we do offer a bulk CSA produce box, that's sort of a blend of the two parts of our work, focused on getting larger amounts of like pre-sorted produce into personally like curated bags and boxes to those who need it. We have a few different options that we have as standard, and it's sort of seasonally focused, and can change if a group needs it. So we're inside of DC. Um, we work out of our two different sites are in Ward 7 and Ward 8 of DC. And the easiest way to work with us, get in contact with us, is either through our email, which is sales@dreamingoutloud.org, or through our website, which is not as easy as that, but it's just DOL wholesale .localfoodmarketplace.com. And we do offer different size items. We do like a small share, or we do a large share of rotating items. And the small share is hopefully staying the same price as we kept it last year. Kind of still seeing where things land, but how we do it is we do 10 shares at once, which is usually around like 8 to 10 pounds of produce, depending on the season and what those items are. And that one they usually come out to be $27 per share. And then for our large, which is also 10 shares per, and it's about 15 to 20 pounds, which is 53 per share. And that's what I got for you.
Thank you, Nathan. And Beata's been including some of that information in the chat for your website. And again, we'll get the contact info for our spreadsheet so we can share that out. If you notice, we've kind of shifted a second in, providers. We've moved from individual farmers to folks that are doing aggregation. Because we want to make sure you have a variety of options. There may not be just one source that meets all of your needs, and we want to be aware of that. That being said, for our next presenters, again, long-term partners with the Food Council, Liz and Omar from Crossroads Community Farm Market. Again, so not someone who's necessarily selling the produce themselves directly to food assistance sites, but another great source of connecting you with farmers in the regional area who may have very specialty crops that you may be looking for. So Amar, I see your camera on, so I think you're taking the lead, so I'll turn it over to you. Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you too. Thank you, Anne-Marie. Hi, everybody. Thank you for having me here. And so my name is Omar. I run Crossroads Farmers Market here in the Tacoma Langley Crossroads. So we have Tacoma Park, but we serve a lot of people around us. A lot of our neighbors. We have folks, as time goes on, our data shows us that folks are moving, but they're still coming to visit us, living in different parts of Montgomery County, such as Wheaton, as far as Rockville, even, only maybe not as common as our folks right around us, around the corner, but we're definitely grateful to have such a strong community presence at our market. And so things I can share about the market before Liz shares the details on CSA. We're a very diverse market. I mean, I say all the time that I think we're one of the most diverse farmers markets in the area. We have a lot of Latino representation, a lot of Central America. You'll have a lot of, but you know, even in the time that I've been here as the program manager, less than 2 years, we're seeing shifts. We're seeing shifts in our population. We're seeing more from South America. We're seeing Caribbean. We're seeing more from Africa, Asia, Middle East, even India. We're trying to make sure that we're being very aware of who's coming to our market, the changes, and how we can bring more products that serve everybody. One thing we're proud of is that we have products that are native to Central America, things like yerba mora, chipilín. These are all types of herbs that are super common, has a lot of medicinal benefits to it. Or traditional ingredients that are in items like tamales. I use the chipilín for tamales when I make tamales at home. And so things we do to constantly try to see what folks are in need of. One thing, we're definitely talking to folks every Wednesday, just in person, trying to talk to different faces, not the same ones all the time. But we do surveys as well. We'll do shopper surveys and we'll ask questions like, what are you seeing at the market what are you not seeing at the market that you would like to see? And we try to see the answers that are multiple. And if we have 10 people telling us, hey, we want to see somebody coming to sell milk. All right, well, let me see if I can find a dairy farmer. Like, hey, we want to see more anything. And so that's definitely something that we're very actively doing all the time. I also try to talk to the farmers, and our farmers are also really good at talking to the customers, asking them like, hey, what are you not seeing? Are you looking for anything specific? And so just hearing our community out makes a big difference. And then our farmers, I watch the interaction between our farmers, and they're sharing with each other the information as well. Like, hey, what's this thing that you're selling over here that folks are making a line, you know, down the market? And it could be leaves for tamales. It could be a certain herb. It can be green beans. Or red beans. There are red beans that are traditional in Central America. One of our farmers, Jose Montoya, he brings them in bushes, you know, and folks love to buy them by the bush. And some folks will just sit there and peel them out, just like they're in El Salvador. I was just in El Salvador last year, and I saw somebody selling the exact same thing on the side of a road from a farm right there. It looked like a scene out of Crossroads. So the diversity is something that we embrace. We try to celebrate it. We try to be aware of it, and we try to share that knowledge with the farmers, so we can only be better. And we do the same thing with really everything: music, hot food vendors. We try to have the market reflect the community. And so I think that definitely comes to the CSA, because there are members of the CSA that know that there is diversity in the market, and we're always talking about how we can bring some more options like the chipilín, like the yerba mora, to those subscribers. And so I don't know if I've missed anything, Liz, if you want to let me know if I missed anything.
Well, do you want to tell just about fresh checks too while we're talking about the
Oh,
market?
yeah, of course. How could I forget? All right, so our market, to support our underserved community, we run the Fresh Checks program. This is going to be our 19th season as an organization running the Fresh Checks program. And right now, we're able to double up to $50 for WIC, for SNAP, senior FMMP, Sunbucks, which a lot of parents really appreciated. I was one of those parents that appreciated we can accept Sunbucks at the market. And so folks come up to $50, that turns into $100. And so to go from 50 to 100 makes a big difference for a lot of our families. We have a lot of seniors, retired seniors that come to the market that spend their benefits. And so that's without the Fresh Checks program, I don't know if Crossroads is where we are. And our farmers as well. Our farmers appreciate that, because products that might not have been accessible because of the costs, you know, to some folks, that's now not a barrier. So folks are able to come get the fresh ingredients, and with fresh, locally grown, you know, the farmers are benefiting from these benefit dollars being spent with them, supporting local economy. We just celebrated our 1 millionth fresh check last season, being handed out over the last 18 seasons. That's $1 million. It's actually $2 million going towards local farmers, local businesses over the last 18 years. So the Fresh Checks program is at the center of absolutely at the center of what we're doing at Crossroads. And it's also, I'll say that our visitors to the market, they are very aware of of what they consume. You know, a lot of folks are coming to the market that are receiving benefits, food assistance benefits, because, you know, we've all been in tough points in our lives, a lot of us. And so, but that doesn't mean that folks want to eat just anything. Folks want to come find what's healthy. Folks come saying, I grew up in the countryside. I grew up in el campo, and I want natural, orgánico. They want natural. They know that it directly impacts their health. And so there's a big population around us at the market that are very knowledgeable in what they're consuming. And if there's something that's not being grown here, they'll let us know. You know, they'll let us know, like, hey, this is really good. You ever thought about growing this? Or you ever thought about bringing this to the market? So very grateful that we have a super diverse community at Crossroads and so much support, so much community support.
Thanks, Omar. Definitely appreciate you sharing about the Fresh Checks program. For those of you that you know, have not been attending these calls, you know, over the years, you know, kind of going out to Crossroads for opening day is kind of a rite of passage for spring, it feels like in Montgomery County. So if you could also just share too, when is opening day this year?
Yeah, absolutely. Opening day is going to be the 23rd of April. We're going to be running to the 26th of November. And so we're still taking applications. I'm still looking for some vendors. We have a need for eggs, absolutely 100%. So if there's anybody who has eggs and they'd like to join our Wednesday market, we're every Wednesday from 10:30 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. And so we have a need for eggs. We've had a lot of shoppers through our survey request. I mentioned dairy, so I'm still looking for some milk. And meats as well. There's many folks that are looking for meats, a lot of chicken, pork, beef, it all goes. And even a lot of cuts that may not go in other markets. A lot of our population will use it for you know, soups, a lot of different ways. And so definitely something to explore. You can check our website. You can send me an email. I'll drop my email in the chat and my information. I'll be glad to hop on the phone or talk to anybody who's interested in coming. And yeah, that's where we're at. That's where we're at.
Thanks. Liz?
Yeah, I'll just add, I'm the CSA coordinator for Crossroads. So kind of like with Dreaming Out Loud, we aggregate some of the produce specifically from the farmers at the market. And then we pack them up and we deliver them as CSA boxes in the Tacoma Park, Langley Park area, including about 20 shares that go to a retirement home. So we could theoretically also add a new partner to that, especially somebody in the close-in radius. Our boxes run about $25 a week, and they generally have 5 vegetable items and 1 fruit item, which is not everybody has. And generally we're like looking for people to order on a Monday for delivery on a Wednesday. And I will say, we haven't done this before, but I'm open to it. We've got a CSA delivery van going around. If a food assistance provider wanted to hook up with one of the Crossroads farmers and have us do the delivery to your location along with the CSA shares, even if it's just of an individual item, we'd be open to that. So especially if there are products that Omar mentioned that you know that your customers want, you might reach out and get it connected with the farmer, and then we can try to figure out the delivery logistics if that's an issue.
That's great. Thanks so much for sharing. And last but not least, Jenny with Community FarmShare. And I know Jenny shared on our November call, but I think she had a few updates for us for the spring. So just turning it over to Jenny.
Okay, good. Did you have my presentation, or should I share?
If you can share, that would be great. Yeah.
All right, let me see if I can figure that out. Let's see. 1 second. I'm not always good at figuring this out. No.
You can also send me the link in the chat and I can.
All right, 1 second. Let me see if that works. Okay. Is that it? No, that's not the right one. Oh, sorry. I sent you an email, but let me see. Sorry, I'm just struggling. Too many tabs open. Sorry. Hold on. Okay, maybe we can start with that. Okay, there we go. Sorry. Okay, I found it. Sorry. Okay. So just go quickly through this because I think we're running short on time. So Community FarmShare, we are Montgomery County based. We are nonprofit. Our main focus is that I think you've probably heard from a couple of farmers already, that we work with on aggregation. So the last couple of years we worked with more and more farms every year. So last year we worked with about 12 farms, and this year we are working with about 20 local farms in Montgomery County. And then we do kind of stretch outside a little bit when we need to in order to get enough produce to meet the demand. So aggregation right now is in Durwood. We're looking for more space, but we have a cold storage unit there where farmers drop off produce and we bring it all together so that we can then just meet the needs for what the community is looking for. So we really focus on aggregation and distribution, and I'll get a little bit more into the distribution aspect on another slide. But our additionally program areas that we have historically worked more on is food as medicine work, so partnering with clinics, healthcare providers, and community-based organizations to support any health, diet-related chronic disease issues that we are supporting with food that families or residents face, along with nutrition insecurity, and also our farm to school program where we connect with school programs. But all of this really is partnership based, so it's more that we look to connect with other organizations that are already doing this work in the community, so that we can then support your access to local produce and local farms. So that's what I was just saying with the partnership approach. That we kind of connect local farmers with community organizations and food assistance providers, and having that funder piece in there, because there's the Office of Food Systems Resilience and other funders are having a lot of emphasis these days on supporting local farmers. And so one of the things that we're trying to do is to make that kind of as easy as possible. So we help with program support. We work with like logistics and communications. Cold storage and timing is an issue. Some food assistance providers may not have the cold storage at the right time of, depending on when the crop is being harvested. And if you got enough of that one crop from one farm or buying from multiple different farms. So kind of bringing that all together in one space can address some of the timing challenges with getting, from harvest time to distribution time. Delivery, we can support with deliveries. We are excited to be getting a refrigerated truck finally this year. So that's going to be an upgrade from the car that we've been using and some other, and leasing a truck last year. And then also just to mention, another support is kind of on the invoicing and cash flow issue, because sometimes there's delays when a farmer might send an invoice, or sometimes there's a delay when the community-based organization needs to, pays the farmer, which is on the other side of the challenge. And so that kind of, administrative work, we support a lot in some of the the different grants and stuff that we partner with you guys. Okay, so produce access options. So kind of 3 different ways that we support any needs for organizations. I'll actually just maybe first start on the other side with the pre-packed produce bags. So if there's organizations that are looking for the pre-packed bags, so yes, we can put those together for you. We can drop them off in bulk deliveries, and then you can, whether it's to a school program or whichever distribution program that you have, and you can select the items that you would want in there. So we can kind of customize it towards your needs. So depending on what your community's needs are, the type of items, you could just let us know, hey, you want, 8, 10 different items. And these are from a selection of the seasonal items that we've been able to provide you. You can choose what you'd like, and we'll make sure we can get those together. I mean, it's all seasonal, so you would know ahead of time what's available, obviously. And then the other piece, then I'm going to shoot to the other side of the screen now, is with the mobile market. So last year we had 4 mobile markets, and this year we're moving up to 8. And the idea there is that it's really the free choice option. So here we're doing like a prepaid card, essentially, like kind of like a voucher system, but it's actually on a card-based way. So funding is loaded up onto that card, and then people can shop and choose what they want. I mean, last year we had each market probably had 20, even 30 different items available. And it was really, a really great experience, because we learned so much. And what we're talking about here today is so important about what do people want. And so through our program, because we put everything through the Farmers Register, we know we've learned so much about what different communities' needs are and access. And so we're able then to stock those markets according to what is looked for by the different communities items. So we have like just charts and data on how many different items there were, and learned a lot. Like that's when like Indu was mentioning, we learned about the black eyed peas, and we learned about different preferred tomato varieties and different preferred pepper varieties, etc. So it's great. We also do I didn't put this on the slide, but I'm glad that I was reminded by Crossroads. We do accept SNAP, and that is matched also by the Maryland Market Money Program. So it is doubling up the value for produce for anybody who's purchasing with SNAP. But on the voucher side, the way that can be used is if you have residents that are participants in your programs that are interested in a free choice model, they can go to any of the markets and shop at any market, whatever they would choose. And that can be their weekly thing throughout the whole 24-week season, about a 6-month season of the year, or you could do a short-term vouchers as well. And so then that last piece then is the middle one for our online market. So this is where we have, it's also similar to Dreaming Out Loud. It's a local food marketplace. So how that works is the farmers, so we have, like I said, 20 farmers now that'll be working with us this year. They each upload what they have available each week. And then that's up there on a market. So for organizations, so we buy from ourselves internally for the programs that we're supporting. But then when there's produce available too on the markets, then that's would be available for anybody to buy in bulk if they want. And then we can get that out to you to deliver. And let me just jump into that so you can see what that. So this is a screen of the local food marketplace look. So you can see like this is a sample. This isn't really, there's no berries right now. So we just threw up these examples so that we had something to show on the screen. But yeah, you would basically be able to see which farms are growing what. Again, this is completely made up as a sample right now, but all the varieties that there could be, and that'll just, go on every week, and you'd be able to then shop by, log in, have an account, order from aggregated space. We hope that that's how that will work this year. And then just going back here. Yeah, just to conclude with one of the things that I just wanted to bring in, it's a little off topic of the bags and boxes, but it's, I'm so glad that I'm so grateful to Food Council for putting together this opportunity for farms to present and for all of us to be here to talk about local farms. We talk about the health benefits has been talked a lot about, so I won't go into that, even though that's, all our thing too with food is medicine and the food security, but also just even to bring in, again, the climate change aspect of it. We're talking about local produce that is really, not the industrial food system. So it does have a huge impact on supporting with soil health impacts, with climate change that is really caused by a lot of the industrial food system issues. Health and nutrition, food security, and just supporting our local economy. So there are, I think, when food assistance providers might look at some of the pricing compared to on the industrial food system, like if you're buying stuff from, Coastal or whatever, there is a difference. And I think we just need to own that and understand that the reason for that is because when you are buying from local farms, this is what's mattering. You are really impacting people's health. You are positively supporting, not climate destruction, and it makes a huge difference on so many levels. So I just wanted to emphasize that the importance of local farms. I love working with all of them. It's been a pleasure, and thank you for the time to be here today. And I also wanted to use our contact information. Sorry, I meant to shout out in the beginning. We just recently have another wonderful team member, which is Julie Crissell. I think she's on the call, and just wanted to have a big shout out to her too, is supporting all of our work on operations and programs. So you'll be in touch with her as well. Sorry, I talked too much. Thanks.
Thanks, Jenny. And Jenny brings up a good point, just a reminder, obviously, for for OFSR's community food, access agreement, grants, I'm losing it on a Monday afternoon, and other grant programs rolling out, they're There are obviously, some preference points, for folks that are supporting, local and or historically disadvantaged farmers and businesses. So, this is just a great way for us, to connect you to those types of sources then that can help you with your grant applications. And, really kind of within the wheelhouse of the Food Council to bring together in these spaces. So I just want to thank all of the farmers and aggregators, that have joined us today. Jenny, I'm just going to ask you to stop sharing your screen so we can come back. That's okay. For your time and for preparing for this and being so open, to connect with our providers. And I'd like to make a little bit of time now, for any questions that food assistance providers might have for you. If I'm checking the chat. I haven't seen something specific, but, again, if there are questions that anyone wants to ask, now is the time. And you can certainly always follow up with individual vendors on your own, but if there are, larger questions you think would benefit from the group, please speak up. Yes, Ruth, you will definitely get a list of contacts. Bita will update the spreadsheet that we shared back in November with all of the information, any slides that were shared, there'll be links to them in that database document, contact information, any information we have about specialty products, delivery, minimums, any type of pricing that's already put together. So yes, we will have all of that in there for you. Don't see any. Dr. Sese is asking if anyone can anyone grow potatoes? Oh, are you looking for sweet potato leaves? I know at least one or two folks on this call who have those available. So
We do have them. This is Tope from Dodo Farms, but this is not the season. Spring is not the season. So it's not till we do have sweet potato leaves. We sell that in the market, and we also do it on a limited wholesale basis. So if you would like that, you'll have to let us know in advance. But it's not time yet. Much later in the summer to early fall.
For those of you wondering about the spreadsheet, Bita will have that updated sometime next week, and we will get that out to you. I do see about fresh checks. Just a note, so that is something that's available at the farmers market. And basically, if a shopper is coming with SNAP or WIC or farmers market senior checks, Sunbucks, like he mentioned, then the market on site will double the amount that they are able to spend at the market. So they're given to the residents directly to use, and then they use them at the market. Did I miss any questions in the chat?
I was just curious if any of the farmers have had feedback from folks who are interested in harvesting squash leaves. Maybe not.
Tom's thinking about it.
Yeah. We have had customers ask about squash leaves, and some have wanted to come to the farm. And we had pumpkins, and we have summer squash, winter squash. Somehow our squash leaves were not the right squash leaves. So there's a variety question there that I'd love to have answered, and then we could maybe grow squash for leaves for that population.
And Maria, I was going to comment, actually, Thomas answered that. Oh, I'm off camera. I don't know if I don't know what's happening. Okay, yes. Not every squash plant makes leaves that can be consumed because there are different varieties. So I think it will be good to work with organizations that would like to get those squash leaves like AgriThrive, and we can show you like what type of squash leaves are needed so that you can grow.
Okay, we can work together on that, Trofana.
Yes, yes. Thank you, Tom.
We're happy to take and share that information with the rest of the group as well. So please keep us in the loop on that. Wonderful. Okay. And I will just take one note based on some things that folks were saying. Omar at Crossroads and Jenny with Community FarmShare. You know, back in the pre-COVID days, members of the Food Recovery and Access Working Group had a subcommittee on culturally relevant products from to help food assistance providers that were looking to make purchases to better serve their communities. And while I think that I know Nourishing Bethesda has recently used that document and found it to be, you know, pretty still accurate for the communities that were referenced in there, but we would definitely appreciate some new sets of eyes on that. And so Amar and Jenny, you know, we'd love to share that out with you and kind of get your feedback on, you know, are there any shifts that we should be aware of or any communities that are now in the area that were not represented in that document so that we can update those, you know, for their reference as well. I'd love to keep that document current. So I will be reaching out in the future to connect on that. That being said, we are at 2:12. I know Catherine is with us and she had some updates from OFSR. And then I appreciate John Gavin was able to join us today and there's some stuff we wanted to touch base on there. But farmers, aggregators, those of you that are not food assistance providers, you know, I want to be mindful of your time. So thank you all for joining us today and totally understand if you need to drop off. And we look to connecting with you soon in the future.
Thanks so much, Anne-Marie. So just a couple quick updates from the Office of Food Systems Resilience. And again, my name is Catherine Nardi. I'm a program manager in the county's Office of Food Systems Resilience. If we haven't met yet, although I think I know almost everyone on the call. We have our Montgomery County Food Resources page, as Anne-Marie mentioned at the top of the call. Guidance will be coming out soon for those that need assistance with adding their distributions and information to this page, but take a look, and if you're not already listed there, it is fairly straightforward, but the Montgomery County Food Council is going to help us out by sharing more detailed information for getting your distributions posted there if they're not already. For those that are involved in our FY25 Community Food Assistance Grant Program, we just wrapped up the first quarter of that grant program, and we have our first quarter data summaries that are going to be posted on our social media and on our website this week. So check back to the page I'm going to post in the chat box on our website for that information if you're interested in seeing what the impact of the funding has been so far in the first quarter. We were really excited to see a lot of folks sourcing from local businesses, a lot of connection amongst one another detailed in the narrative portions of those reports. And over 1.6 million pounds of food distributed in the first quarter by all of our community food assistance grantees, which is outstanding. So again, check back on our website and our social media. If you follow us, we're at Montgomery_OFSR for those data summaries coming soon. I also wanted to mention that our FY25 Nutrition Benefits Outreach Grant Program is going to be launching in the next week or so. This is the next iteration of our existing FY24 SNAP Outreach Grant Program. So for any organization that is designated by the state of Maryland to conduct SNAP outreach to Montgomery County residents, you would be eligible to apply for this next round of grant funding. More information will be available on the Office of Grants Management website for the county. If you're not already signed up for the OGM newsletters, I highly encourage you to sign up and get connected there, because there are a whole host of grant opportunities that are shared out by OGM on a regular basis. Last but not least, we'll be making decisions on our Food as Medicine grant program, which closed about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago at this point, in the next week or so as well. So for any organization that submitted a proposal for our Food as Medicine grant program for FY25, hopefully you should be hearing back from us by the end of this month or early April on decisions there. So a lot of really cool initiatives continuing in 2025 through our office, thanks to all of my very hardworking colleagues. I see Deanna is on here as well. Most of you know her, and the rest of the team. So if you have any questions, concerns, anything you want to connect with our team about, we do have regular opportunities posted on our website. So on the page, I just put it into the chat box on our Connect page. You can sign up for a 15-minute time slot to connect with a member of our team. Of course, you can also email me. I'll put my email in the chat box if you don't have it handy. And happy to find a time for us to connect if you have questions. Thanks.
Thanks, Catherine. And just quickly shifting now, again, like I mentioned, John Gavin from Adventist Community Services of Greater Washington, one of your fellow food assistance providers. He was looking for, did a lot of work kind of digging into seeking new sources for produce, and had a positive experience with our resources, but also some lessons learned. And so we made a special point of making sure he could join us today to kind of share some of that feedback for you all who might still be just kind of starting in this process. So John, thanks so much for joining us today and sharing a little about your experience.
Thank you. Can you hear me okay? We were getting food boxes, veggie boxes from the food bank, I think around 120 boxes a month, maybe more. I can't recall the exact number. And when that ended, we were seeking to replace it. So the first thing we did was raise as much money as we could. We started looking for a supplier. We were hoping that Sunbelt would be interested. The boxes were available to the food bank for about $14, and we were hoping to get a similar product in boxes for somewhere around that. And we went to the wonderful database that was compiled and made contacts with 4 or 5 vendors who seemed to be able to provide what we would need. Ended up getting quotes from 2, and one was for $30 a box for 5 to 7, 8 items. And we were looking to provide a more robust supply than that. And $30 for 5 to 8 items seemed like a lot when we're trying to scale up to meet the increased food insecurity issues, and now this what may result from the workers who were affected by all the federal program. So we ended up forming a partnership with 4P Foods. They provide, the other challenge we had is some of the providers couldn't give us the quantity we wanted or the variety or the kind of vegetables we wanted. They were doing more curated box, and we wanted more staple items that have a longer shelf life. And so that's we ended up with 4P Foods. They found a way to provide a box with potatoes, onions, carrots, cabbage, sometimes swapping out sweet potatoes, 8 to 10 pounds for $20 a box, $200. I'm sorry, 200 box delivery every 2 weeks. And the $20 covers the box and the delivery. So that's where we ended up. Part of our challenge here is we don't have a place to deal with bulk items. So we really needed it boxed or somehow packaged. We have found through LA Mart, which there's a bunch of them around, that we can get more than that for about half the price. So for $10, we can get a small bag of potatoes, small bag of onions, a bag of carrots, and a cabbage for about $10. But we have to, it's not assembled in boxes. So we're actually experimenting some with that. We'll be picking up this Thursday and boxing up for a special distribution we're doing on the weekend. So that's our experience with trying to replace the veggie boxes that we were getting. Are there questions? Okay, thank you.
John, I really appreciate you sharing your experience, and glad to hear that the resources were helpful to you. I think, what's important as we identify sources is that, many of you have different needs, and some of you, do and don't have cold storage. Some of you do and don't have space where you can, even store items that can be stored at normal temperatures. Some of you are doing more frequent distributions than others, right? And so, and some of you may be serving communities where very specific items, are in demand and what you want to provide. And so I think what we're really hoping that we can do here is kind of, give you a sense of what is available in the community, and have you, go through that and see what best meets your needs, right? And like John pointed out, obviously there are labor costs, delivery costs, that go into all of these, and you really have to kind of figure out that matrix that best meets your needs, right? If you don't have a large number of volunteers to pack boxes for you, that's going to limit you in some of your, cost structure items.
And Marie, I should have mentioned one other thing. I'm sorry.
Sure, please.
4P was able to do this at this price because they receive some grant funding that subsidizes it. So I don't want any vendors or others to misunderstand that little part.
Thank you. Yeah, no, that's very helpful to know. And I think, again, this can be a space for exploring those kinds of options. And we certainly welcome, if folks hear about opportunities. Tom, I see your hand. Please go ahead.
Okay. John has really brought to us one of the fundamental conflicts, which is that the produce from the industrial system, and 4P is kind of regional, but I've seen the 4P deliveries, and it's potatoes from Idaho and it's onions from Arizona. And, it's at least it's not Mexico and Chile. But generally, I think 4P has a Virginia, kind of North Carolina, Pennsylvania focus, which is good. I mean, we appreciate anything that makes things have to travel less distance and for less time is good. But it's also at that scale, there are economies of scale. So John's dilemma is, how do I get the most food to the most people in need at a price that's within the constraints that we're dealing with for the charitable food dollar? And this is where there's no question our Montgomery County small scale farmers cannot meet those prices, and I think John, thank you for bringing this forward here, because there's no question a food assistance provider will have to make choices. Now, one of the things we can wonder about in the case of Trophenus, Afrothrive, if the kale is going home in a box and getting thrown away because they don't love it, then that's not actually, that's not driving the program forward. And one of the things we know about the vegetables that we are providing to food assistance providers is the feedback is always people are loving this. The children who are not in the habit of eating vegetables because they either weren't available or because they didn't taste very good, the children are gobbling up these vegetables that are grown in Montgomery County. So I don't have an answer, but I'm grateful John has brought forward this problem, which is that small scale can't compete with large scale. But small scale does other things. We don't externalize costs in terms of air pollution, water pollution, labor exploitation, all those kinds of things that are baked in. And we need to be talking about this. And thank you for bringing it in to this conversation, because it's very important.
If I may, when I was in graduate school a while ago, I worked for the National Family Farm Coalition, and in my research, I had learned that family farming would be statistically insignificant by the turn of the century. Fortunately, that didn't happen because of all the efforts that have gone into the agricultural area in our country, and the development of ways to support small farmers. So my heart is there, and and we may still find a way to get more, if our storage area is part of our limitation. So, but thank you for what you and all the other vendors that do this kind of thing to get good food to people in very, very difficult economic times.
We have 4 minutes left. I'm sorry we don't have more time for a broader conversation, but certainly if there's anything that anyone else would like to raise or any community announcements, happy to make, space in our remaining moments on the call today for that. Stephen.
I'd just like to thank everybody for this discussion. I didn't know what I was going to get out of it today, but more and more, I'm understanding it's not just the lifting we do with our backs and arms, and the driving we do with boxes, and the packing we do. This is a major public health problem solving on an organic basis that we're doing. And yes, we like the fact that we can buy a lot of food through our food credits and all that, and through Capital Area Food Bank and all that. But I'm thinking, we do have some money that we raise on our own independently, and nurturing the local farmers a bit through some of these purchasing is creating a custom solution for the people we're serving. So I think, it's always nice to look at a linear program model where you're maximizing outputs, minimizing inputs and all that. But there is more of an art to it than that. And so I'm continuing to learn and think about this. And I don't think I'll ever be at the end of it, but I'll share what I learned today with a couple of other of our leaders at church and see how we can do kind of as much of a blended approach as possible, because that's the approach that gives you the most long-term security.
Agreed. Thank you, Stephen. Dana?
Yeah, just really quick, I know we need to go. I just want to thank, this is a great conversation and so important. And I think just want to remind us all, as we're headed into the budget season, that we need to advocate for this continued funding. The reason many of us have been able to order from Community FarmShare, from Tom, from we also were happy with bags thanks to the last vendor showcase you did. We've been getting some from Fresh Farm Markets. We tried out some different things, and we couldn't do this if we didn't have the support and the systemic approach that OFSR and our county have. And so I think it's just really important that we all do our part to make sure it's going to be a very, 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 very tight budget this year. And so anything we can do to make sure that we can get the funding there, and we all want to stretch it as far as we can, but we also, I think, can whatever we can do to also continue the farm to food bank programs, the programs that allow us to all purchase and benefit from our local agriculture will just be the triple bottom line will be met. So thank you guys for this great call.
Thank you. Lisa.
Dana said it so well. But I also just wanted to follow on the Stephen's comments and add that I think that in addition to everything you said, the value of people eating what they want to eat, that sovereignty part of it, and the community building, community welcoming aspect of growing things that connect people with their heritage, and really helping them feel part of the community, and eating in a way that really feeds their souls, I think is such an important component that we can't put a dollar value on. I just wanted to add. Thank you. Thank you all so much for such a great conversation.